So if you spend time focusing on a problem, and while we want solution focus as part of business intelligence, clearly defining a problem is also part of business intelligence. So does anybody have a problem? And we may solve it, we may not, but at least we can begin to get some more clarity around it. So we'll start by just trying to define this problem. If you were to define the problem, what's the problem?
The problem is trying to raise the level I guess, level of involvement and commitment and having fun.
Okay.
In a work setting where it's just a job.
Okay.
For most of the rank and file, and sometimes the managers get that attitude.
Okay. So who has the problem? Who is not having fun? Who is, it's just a job?
Yeah. Basically the rank and file that work in the restaurant.
Okay, the rank and file.
Mm-hmm.
And what's their attitude?
It's just a job.
It's just a job?
Yeah.
Okay, and from that attitude, then what kind of symptoms come out of that? How can you tell they've got just that attitude?
Well, the things that you see is late for work or
Okay.
laying out of work or just and not being as customer focused and oriented as you'd like for it to be, and so it shows up in not getting the big thrust of the business is carry out. So you know, the stuff goes in the bags get marked, and then they get grouped with the orders and out the door. So a lot of times, where did this come from? It's obviously left off an order, or that sort of thing.
Okay.
Just some visual things that you can see.
Okay, and how for you is that a problem?
Oh, for me personally, okay, that's good. I feel for the managers because of it's a problem for me for two reasons. One, over the years, it is, in times past, it is. I felt like, and I needed to keep myself free to help them if I need to, which has been limiting to
Helping
me.
the managers.
Yeah, or you know, if they're short-handed and they just have exhausted all their resources, then they're trained to call one of the owners, myself or my partner.
So then you take on the responsibility of doing some of this.
Yeah, I just go in and just ask them where do you want me. I don't come in and try to manage and run the place. I just come in and as a body.
So it does give you some because it can
conflict
your time,
yeah.
your energy. Okay.
Yeah.
And how is it a problem for the managers?
Well, I think it's they get frustrated. Sometimes they get the attitude, well, we just need to fire everybody and get a whole new crew. And my thought is, you know, you just until they change their management style or their attitude or their way of looking at it, then it won't change for the people. So it's a training issue.
So that sounds like one of the causes, one of the contributing factors that make this. What would you say causes the problem? The problem of this disinterest, this lack of commitment.
Well, yeah, and then people not getting along. I'd say.
So that's another symptom that comes out of it, people not getting along.
And it comes from, and over the years, just comes from managers just having their ego in the way and just not being able to manage very well. And
okay, so how's their ego in the way?
They would. I'll give you an example. One manager had one of the girls put the chairs up one day for he was thinking they were going to clean the floors that night because they had a crew to come in to do the floors. And when the girl came in the next morning, she was all hot about it because the dining room person because you know, why'd you put the chairs up and everything? And so rather than admitting he made a mistake, oh man, I did a wrong day. He just said, "That's just the way it's going to be from now on." made this change in the procedure the way it is. He couldn't just say, "Hey,
made a mistake."
Made a mistake.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So his pride, something got in the way. He couldn't be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he eventually is gone now, but he selected himself out because we decided we started doing these 360 profiles with the managers. And he just couldn't.
So that sounds like a manager problem. How does that relate to the attitude of the ones who is this just a job?
Oh, it's terrible for them.
How does the two relate? How does that manager difficulty relate to the other problem?
Well, because the expectation for the managers are to come in and to maintain customer service and employee morale. And if you come in and you bring in your problems as a manager into the business, or then you got these people that are in there and they're trying to make a living and be there, and they need some role models. And we've experienced that, and I've seen the other side where you've got good people, role models, and working with people, and it makes a big difference.
So that sounds like one of the contributing factors for the people on the front line, the people actually doing a lot of the menial work that makes it happen, is the attitude of the manager.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's one contributing factor. Is that the cause? Would you say that is what causes it, or is the cause somewhere else?
Well, I guess in my heart of imagination, I believe that if I could just get this training down to the unit manager level, if I could have the unit managers trained like I've trained the area manager, then it would be great. They would have an awesome time together.
Okay.
And we've had some of that. The challenge is that you kind of get that going, and then personal problems enter in. We've had some really great managers, but they have these major personal problems that they either have to quit or do something. The major in their lives. I know the divorce rate's high, so we've got divorces and the story. I mean, the stories of things that can happen. One husband getting real jealous. She's a nice-looking woman, and he's jealous with her, and he's sitting out in the parking lot, and just weird, crazy stuff like that. So when you got somebody and you're giving them good training, they're getting it, and we're really making it here, and this is going to be real stable. Boom, something like that happens, and
okay.
No, it doesn't affect me at all.
How does it affect you?
No, but very fortunate. Probably the last 2 or 3 years, the area manager has finally has arrived at that level through training and working with him where he's dealing with it. But I don't think long term he can continue to deal with it. I think we've got to figure out a way to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So to keep tracking where you are, we started with really how do you call the people?
The rank and file.
The rank and file people. We started there with their attitude. Now we've moved up to the manager, and it seems like that seems like a larger problem. And maybe the attitude of it's just a job is a symptom, not really a problem.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, that maybe it's the attitude of the manager.
That's my hope in my heart that's true. That if we can manage.
At this point, that's what you believe, and that's your discernment about it. And is the attitude of the manager, is that the problem, or is that a symptom from the area manager and the training? Because you've mentioned training several times, and you've mentioned that the area manager has a training level, he can handle it, but now you've asked the question, can he sustain it?
Yeah.
So where would you say is the real problem in the system? What is the leverage? Where is the leverage point that if you could fix that, then everything else would...
I don't know about a leverage point. I know. I think that the training, if I could get the training down to the level at the management level, the unit manager levels training.
So what does the area manager, how is the area manager trained? What training does he have or she have? How do they operate that the other ones don't operate?
Well, the interesting thing is that, you know, he has always had somewhere to go. He started out as a unit manager and has been progressing, and he is on a track of growth and progress. And I've sat down with him and we've had one-on-one, and I took him to the 7 Habits training, and I've taken him to the 4 Roles training. We went through that together, and so in his life, he has a different life. I mean, he is living in almost like a different world. He's had this training, this attention from the owners. I have a 50% partner.
That probably counts for him.
Yeah,
really.
That all counts well for him, and he makes twice as much as anybody else, and so his income. He's doing well there.
So he's got that training. How does he operate that the other ones don't operate? What does he know, or what skills does he have? Does he have some core competencies that the others don't have?
Yes, he does. He has. He brought to the table things of his own, and then we've grown him in that process, and so. You know, if we could just do that same thing with the managers, but trying to keep them there long enough to do so.
Is that the problem? Keeping the managers there long enough to get them really trained up to that level of competency? Is that the problem? That we haven't kept them there? They're not trained well enough yet? Yeah, that and figuring out the format to do the training. I mean, we're working on it now. The area manager is now starting to take 2 unit managers off-site and meeting with them once. So it sounds like you're addressing what you consider is the problem, to see if that really is a problem. You mentioned some things that sound in my ear like just circumstantial things, like the thing in the parking lot, and Gajella's girlfriend, and divorces.
Is a lot of that. There's too much of that in this business.
So the question would be, is that the cause, or are those just contributing factors that the contributing factors, some you can control, some you can't? Yeah, just probably a fact of the business that you just have to live with. So what we're doing is getting specificity to describe what the problem is, and it sounds like if you were to describe the problem, somehow the trainer, the managers don't have the sufficient training to really be as skilled as they could be, as the area manager is. Yeah, that's true, and then also we end up keeping certain managers that we probably should let go. So is that another contributing factor or a cause?
Or is that well, it's a contributing factor. We just need to get to a point to be able to do that.
And what resource do you need to be able to do that?
Just finding the right people, and we've come close. We've come close. I mean, we could have had this one manager. We could have let him go because this other manager was coming on board and doing well. But then she's the one with the husband in the parking lot. So lose that one. So, okay, all right. I guess we still like you. We're going to keep you now. That's terrible. But we do give him feedback. But
so he
knows he needs to go, and we should have let him go.
So the problem is getting the right people on board.
Yeah,
that's really choosing the right ones, selecting them, and keeping them. So the training, the retention, and helping them to buy into that—that's really the problem.
I should have said that when we started, because I mean, now that we've come around this circle, I mean, that's it. And that's real. It's real obvious, and we know that. We just don't know what the solution to it is.
Let's ask the time question. Is this a continuous problem? Does it come and go?
15 years. 15? I bought the restaurant 15 years ago.
And has this been always the problem?
It has always been the problem. It's just, it's nice that it's not my problem anymore in a great degree, because the area manager, my partner now used to hire all the managers. Now it's his problem. But I realize that
so you hired out the problem to area manager.
But I am thinking towards the future and thinking, how long can he stand that? I mean, how long will he put up?
So what effect does it have
he's been doing pretty good with it. Recently, he's kind of, you know, it just doesn't seem like his response was, you know, this is just kind of unbelievable. What the antics and the things that, you know, he just feels like he's managing a bunch of children, and unfortunately, I agree with him. But, even
his expectation. What map does he have in terms of his expectation about these managers?
Well, he's adjusted it.
Okay.
But I mean, you just keep getting surprised with the response. I mean, you adjust it here, and it just keeps
how unresourceful they can get.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really.
Okay.
And we thought for years, this is just the restaurant business. I mean, it's just, you know, go into another business and you have a different quality of people, maybe more educated. They make you know, more money, and we thought that so this is just a fact of life. You got to live with it. But
so yeah, that maybe this is the world of somehow people in the food industry business, the restaurant business somehow.
Yeah.
So as we've been looking at the boundaries, where does this problem begin? Where does it end? It sounds like it's pretty pervasive when it's at that managerial level, because that's going to be radiating down to all the people, then affecting your customers, and then affecting maybe suppliers even. Who else is affected by this problem? It seems like it goes down and goes up to you and your partner. We've talked about the time element. We've talked about some of the specific causes, contributing factors. When we talk about attempted solutions, you've attempted a number of solutions. Some of them have worked. Some of them have worked maybe partially. Some have not worked at all. What attempted solutions have seemed to work to some extent, for a while?
Well, I think the biggest one, we took them from working 57. We sat down and talked about what was important to them, quality of life and scheduling and stuff. Because, you know, we interview people all the time, and they say they're working 80 hours a week in the restaurant business. Well, our managers were working 57 to plus the close, and we cut that back to 40 to 43 hours a week, no cut in pay. And I was sharing with you earlier that we had one manager he wanted to elect out of our culture, and he left. And so to pick up his hours, we added a few more hours back for a temporary period of time. So they went from that 40 to 43 to like 47 regular every week. Now remember, they were working 57 plus the close. The 47 now included the close. And there were grumblings and things like, well, the win-win must be out the window now. You know, it's kind of like at that point you just want to throw up your hands and
so you mentioned your culture. What is your culture? How would you describe the culture of your business?
Well, we're a family-style restaurant, and we try to promote high values. We don't allow any cussing or anything like that, so people can come to work and be unoffended.
Okay.
We just use regular language to speak. We have a culture of, there's a problem, you don't holler at people. You know, you get them back to the office and handle a problem.
Okay.
And, you know, some basic, treating people like you would like to be treated, and treating people as decent human beings. And so we get some managers in there that don't, you know, they say they buy into that, and they come in and then they're different, and then either
they don't live up to those.
So you're always you know, struggling through that, and while you're struggling through this manager, you got your rank and file who might be there a little while, and they're having to suffer through all this, you know. So that's sad.
Okay. What are some of the policies that you've set? Some of the company policies that you've set trying to correct this?
Well, so in response to what they wanted to have a more flexible schedule and be able to, I mean, you know, every third week, there's 3 managers in each boat, and every third week, and they have a Saturday off. We're closed on Sunday, so they have Saturday, Sunday, and then they can work the next weekday off on Monday, so they're off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then not come in until 4 o'clock on Tuesday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and till 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And we really thought that would, you know, make a big difference, and it has. And I think we're going to get there as we apply these things.
Okay.
So what's the problem?
Who wants this solved? Who's invested in solving this?
I have a lot of emotional
Okay.
energy in wanting to solve this problem because I have delegated and I don't spend much time with the business, and I want to keep it that way.
Okay.
Or I need to sell it. I've tried to sell it and almost sold it a couple of times, and because I want to
Okay.
do other things.
Uh-huh.
So,
How much does the area manager want to solve this?
oh, I think he does. I think he would
Is
like
he committed to solving this?
Mm-hmm. And he, you know, we had a talk the other day, and we talked about going back to the higher levels of what the principles were involved, and you know, and that helped him to get reoriented and reframed.
Do any of the managers want this solved? Do they see it as a problem?
What is it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, what is it? What is it that they see as a problem?
If you define the problem as getting the right people on
Yeah.
and getting people who are trained and who understand it and can make it
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah, I think certain of them do, and they know who needs to leave. But you don't have. You got to always play a delicate game in a restaurant business, and you can't just say if somebody's not working out too good, you can't just cut them loose, particularly if they can do specific things, like cook.
yeah.
Cooking.
That'd be a core competency.
It is.
in a restaurant.
It's a major core competency, and you know we hire people that you know they're great at everything, but they can't learn to cook. It's a unique. We have a unique style in our cooking that's not easy, and and because of that not easiness, that ties our hands sometimes when the best thing to do would be to cut somebody loose.
Okay.
But
Is that a problem?
to cut somebody loose.
No. Is that a problem that the core competency is that difficult? Somehow there's a difficulty in teaching people how to cook that way?
Is it a problem? It is one of the major challenges in this particular restaurant because we
Okay.
cook to order, and we're sort of between full service and a takeout fast food. So you know it's an art. There's no real science to it,
Okay. Okay.
and that's always been that's the big fear. I mean, we could actually be in a situation where we could have to shut the door because we don't have wouldn't have a cook.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we
So that's another problem apart from this other one.
yeah. And trying to maintain that schedule for the managers, you know, like the guy that we should cut loose, he really needs to be cut loose. But if we did that, that would directly impact their being able to have those weekends and that sort of thing. So you're weighing that against that.
So as a contributing factor, that problem contributes to this other problem. Doesn't cause it, but it certainly contributes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first problem is getting the right people on, hiring them, retaining them, maintaining them, and getting them up to level. We've danced around this now. How well-formed do you feel the problem is at this point?
Well, if the definition of the problem is to hiring the right people, that's been formed for 15 years. It's just we haven't figured out how to do that.
Okay.
Just haven't figured out how to do that.
Okay. Do you know who to hire? Do you have a profile of the ideal employee, the ideal manager?
Yeah, and we have certain questions and all, but it's amazing how people can answer those questions, and then after they come to work, it's like, are you the same person?
That I hired, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. So I'm going to stop right here.
I don't blame that with
Can you cook?
So one of the things I want you to notice is, what did you notice about, because this is the content, what did you notice about the way I asked the questions to see if we can move to a well-formed problem?
First thing, getting really specific about everything.
Okay, trying to get more and more specificity for clarity. So clarity comes from specificity.
Differentiate between what the symptom is and what the problem is.
Okay, so I was using this distinction, the distinction between cause and contributing factor, and once again, specificity of that distinction.
Specificity to find the leverage point. See what I thought.
Okay, looking for how does the system work and where's the leverage point, and so asking questions, trying to get clear about that.
We dealt with the time element.
Okay, so we went. So each of these things I was asking questions around. If you step back from that, what did you notice?
He didn't answer.
Huh?
He danced around it. I thought he danced around a lot. He wasn't
Okay.
wanting to get shut down into lots.
Okay. Instead of him focus on me, what did you notice about me?
Well, what was really fascinating to me, and I hadn't thought of before, is how you wanted to identify whose problem was it and who wants to correct it.
Okay.
That was very good.
Okay, so once again, these distinctions of a well-formed problem. Whose problem is this? Is it your problem? To what extent? Does this person want it solved? So lots of those detailed questions. What else did you notice? Or what else can you notice as you step back? Because you were probably like myself, focusing on Chris and what he was telling and entering into the story. And who wanted to tell Chris something that you could help him fix this? So what did you notice about me?
You just didn't offer him any solutions. You just kept asking him about
Okay.
more and more what was going on.
Did I ever make a statement?
No.
No, it was no question.
So all I did was ask questions.
But when you kept asking the questions, it was my observation that you had trouble determining whether it was you who were going to solve the problem, the area manager, or the manager's...
Now, let's not go to him. Talk about me.
Okay,
Because it's not, this was just something for content.
okay.
Don't let the content seduce you into that, because as a helper, as a coach, or as a consultant, or if you're working on your difficult, of course, this is where you need someone to do this for you, the structural form. So what did I do? I asked just questions.
I would say you were incredibly persevering, like you wouldn't let him get off the hook. That you would do that, and okay, let him, almost like a fish, you'd let him run. But then you'd reel in.
I can feel it.
Then let him run, and then reel in. And when you were reeling in, you just kept asking that very politely, probably more than I would be, like, can I get back on track here? Okay. And so I think there was some questions you asked like 5, 6, or 7 times, it seemed to me, in a very nice way with a smile. And so I was impressed with, and wording it sometimes differently, but sometimes not. Sometimes it was just the same question, and it was kept very conversational rather than confrontational or fixing. So I was amazed. I wondered if I would have that much self-control to ask questions for that long.
So are you saying, and I think that what you're saying is that what you're pointing out to is what you're trying to teach us, not you were doing, or what you're trying to point out is that there were people in the room that wanted to jump in and say, it's this stupid.
Have you tried this? Have you tried this?
Yeah. And in the coaching aspect is you're just, if I don't come up with it on my own, I'm likely not, and if I don't buy your exact presentation of what you think I ought to do, then I'm not going to be helped much.
Mm-hmm. Because who's the expert here?
Yes.
He knows 100 times more than I could even find out in this interview or several more. Who's the expert? Who knows that business inside out? And I'm just facilitating you unleashing more and more your awarenesses and discoveries and holding it. And the reason I believe that is not going to frustrate you by asking the same question, because you care about this. You really care. So you're not going to hear it as I'm asking the same question. Did you even hear that?
Maybe a little, but I didn't care.
Yeah, because you cared about something
Because
else.
I'm trying to get to the solution, and
Right.
whatever help I can
Right.
get, I'm looking for it.
Right. So,
Chris, how much better you feel now when the first time you go to the chair?
I really don't. If the final conclusion is that we just need to do a better job hiring, it's like, gosh, I haven't learned anything. However, maybe what I need to learn is maybe we just haven't, like I said we haven't found out how to do it yet. That doesn't mean we can't find out how to do it.
Right.
And we just got to keep digging, and maybe through this field that I'm studying, we can come up with an answer, or maybe I can consult with somebody.
So it seems to me the point here is, and also for us, if we feel impatient, we need to give them an answer, or they need to get it, and they need to get in the session. Then we can put pressure and sometimes jump to inadequate solutions. Because as you heard this, there's complexity in this. And it's not going to take, a simple answer is not going to solve this. And it's probably not going to solve in just one thing, because we heard later on that there's another problem, a significant problem, that contributes to this one, and it's a system. So as I said at the beginning, my intention is not that we're going to solve it, but that we move a little bit closer in clarity as to what is the problem, because if you keep trying to solve the wrong problem, we know that's not going to work. So what we want to do is to create a well-formed problem, then we can start moving toward well-formed solutions. Because this is not about solution. This is about really getting clear where the problem, who's the problem, when the problem, what's the pattern, what's the structure, so that we can define more and more clearly and in moving that direction.
So let's say you did get further down that path and you got really close, if not to it. I mean, how would you know that he's at?
He would tell me.
He would just say, "I think I've got it."
He would,
and
yeah.
Count. Okay.
So then I would do the same kind of thing on a well-formed outcome.
Okay.
But to jump to the well-formed outcome, if a person doesn't know what is the gap that they're solving, because the well-formed outcome is getting clear about that desired state. First of all, we got to where are you now? And that's where, to some extent, the question may even be a fair, how do you feel? It may be good to feel even worse, to hold the feet to the fire. But if I'm getting closer to what is causing that fire, instead of all the symptoms, and getting closer to that fire so that we know what to deal with, then we can start really asking those resource questions and that problem-focused solution question and move into that stage. And so for those of us who've grown up with positive thinking, a lot of times we want to jump so quickly to positive thinking. And we may need to stay with that problem and really get clear about it.
This one is business problem. Can personal problem has this link?
Same thing.
As complicated as this?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Worse.
Worse, yeah.
So are you suggesting within a coaching model, start with a well-formed problem, then bust into the...
Yeah, because what you're saying is that, I like what you said a minute ago, that defining the problem is half the battle. Except I don't really... Well, I guess when I get ready to sit down, I guess what I'll sit down with is the idea that we've tried it. We've tried it for 15 years. The area manager's trying in his way now, and at some point we need to consult with someone or try something different, or
so the next
or
step.
give up. Now, that's what I did. I pretty much gave up, and I finally delegated and stepped back and said, and I just get out of the way. I thought, well, if I get up, maybe I'm part of the problem. I get out of the way and see if he can solve it.
So here's an attempted solution.
Yeah.
And sometimes we attempt a solution and find out, does it work? Did it make it any better? Or is the problem still there? Because that gives you now information. Maybe you weren't the problem when you tried that one on to see. If I was going to consult, the next conversation I would have is, tell me how you have gone after trying to find the right people. And I would just really explore that to understand what you've done, to really understand it, and to explore into depth, how did you do it, when did you do it, and just 100 questions around that. Because if I start offering solutions, or we try to co-create a solution, and this is one of the problems that would happen if we jumped into that, and in the back of your mind you go, I tried some of that, tried some of that, tried some of that, tried some of that, and then I'm this great consultant leading you into this again. It's like, what happens to my credibility? But if I explore, tell me how, and how much time did you spend to that, and what specifically did you do? Did you use an instrument here? What was the interview like? And give me something. Interview me with that, so I can so I really know what you've tried before we try to correct it, because there may be just a leverage, and just tweak it a little bit, because you may have had every single piece except one little thing, and as you discover it, if I facilitate you by asking enough questions and you discover it, then the solution pops. So, Doug, you had your hand?
Yeah, at one point, didn't you say something about him staying in session? Maybe you didn't hear the word.
Staying in session?
I got it to mean that maybe while you're questioning him, that you wanted him to stay with your question, and he would go off somewhere
Oh,
else.
yeah. Oh, he was chasing around. It was all over the place.
So that's what you want to do is you're
I want to hold him, so I came back and said, I'm not clear now. Is this really the problem, or is this really the problem? And how does this relate to that? And so using the know-nothing and trying to really make a mental picture of what he's describing. Also, that helps him to get help. As he makes it clear for me, it'll help with clarity. So,
I'm
Jim?
curious what his partner's position is on this.
Okay.
My partner is the tape rolling? No, he's a great guy, but he's very global, and it really wouldn't matter to him. It doesn't really matter to him which way we go. I mean, he's interested in what.
So it sounds like it's not a problem for him.
Well, no, not as much as it is for me. He I believe, and I know this may sound bad, but I mean, he could own that business, and those people could all work in there and be miserable. And that wouldn't be his problem.
Not his problem.
Yes, not his problem. but it is mine. I feel a sense of responsibility to improve the quality of life of the people that work for me. If I own a business,
that's important to you.
That's important to me, and it's important enough to either try to fix this and make it happen, or get out of it and not be responsible for that anymore.
Okay. One more.
Would a legitimate question be, do you know anyone who has a similar problem who has solved the problem?
We can use that modeling question once we're ready to go looking for resources. But that would be a solution-focused question rather than a problem-defining question.
So the Hard Rock Cafe has fully implemented that 7 Habits, and they say that it's working for them. But then I think they may have a higher pay scale, so they might be able to draw from a different pool of people. What am I saying about people when I say that?
Okay.
What about
one more?
A little bit of responsibility 2 and 4 here, maybe.
What I want to do is not offer solutions to them.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like she was saying in the resource section of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, you haven't pegged problems, so
Yeah.
there's no way. But
So to sequence out this one little piece and leaving Chris with this. Thanks a lot. I wouldn't have volunteered.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Because it's just one stage in a series of stages, and the first stage is getting really clear, present state. Where are we? Defining that problem. The next stage would be, okay, let's look at solution. When we wave the magic wand and you get this in just the way you want it, what is it going to look like then? So we do the outcome, the well-formed outcome. Then we come back to solution focus. What are resources you need to get there? But right now, we've just done this one piece. And because this one piece is not something that's in the history of NLP. We do well-formed outcomes, but we really don't spend time doing well-formed problems. So I'm going to do something real dangerous. I'm going to ask you to get with someone, and we'll do a well-formed problem. Now, if you're asking the questions, don't offer solutions. Don't fix your person. You have to just, you talk about staying in a meta position to ask these questions. And it's going to be really hard, but if you believe that people have resources, and if you believe people have resources in them, and if you believe that your work is that of facilitating them to find that, then asking these kinds of questions, oftentimes this will solve it. And sometimes we realize we've been trying to solve the wrong problem. So let's do it in this way. We'll put it in groups of 3, and only one person gets to offer a problem. One person gets to be the coach to ask these questions and to explore it. And the other person, the meta person, we want you to have a red-hot poker ready to take on that coach if that coach tries to make a solution. So get out your whip and do it, blow your whistle, time out if you hear the person not asking questions to refine the definition, clarity of the problem. And we'll do a break first, 15-minute break, and then we'll do that.
That was fun.
Well, thanks for playing with that. The problem with us as a helper, coach, therapist, a manager, whatever we are, therapist, whatever we are, the problem is our imposition. And then we're not meeting them at their map of the world, we're meeting them at our map of the world. And that does damage. My belief is, plus it doesn't really facilitate and unleash and help them to rebuild their matrix from within. What is the problem? How do you know it's a problem? When is it a problem? Where is it a problem? Whose problem? And that sequence will help the person find it.
Probably the distinction here is that we are in this room, and what we're focusing on is coaching, not consulting, right?
Well,
because I know in our group we were in a situation and she had the problem defined well. She walked through the questions and got right on top of it. And then I couldn't resist being a CPA and looking at her problem, making a suggestion. She already had solutions.
Who has the red hot poker?
She had solutions and what she was going to do and everything. And those solutions, and what she planned to do was about increasing sales, and they were going to increase sales. They're going to focus on that, but the question, you could readily see that there's a problem in the home office that needs some work. Well, she's addressed that too and is working on that. But so, it's kind of like, if you're coaching someone, do you stop and say, "Let me stop being a coach, let me consult you for a minute"?
There are times when that's appropriate.
And then I'll come back in and coach you. There's
times when that's appropriate. There's time, and my belief is if we ask permission to give advice, if we say, I think I have some, would you want to hear it? And get permission to offer that advice. Even as a consultant, when you're paid as an expert, structural process consulting pulls it out from them. Even as a teacher, as a lecturer, I would say structural processing lecturing it'll do education. Education means to call from within, to evoke from within, that the knowledge is there. That's the Socratic method of teaching is we ask the kind of questions they find out. We don't teach them in the sense of lecturing.
Well, but in that case, but you asked what I was trying not to do, or what I was trying. Let me ask you this question: is asking a leading question is that the same thing as consulting, or
advice giving advice? Yeah. So when you do leading questions, that's the lowest level kind of question. We've got that as number one on our list of benchmark questions when it's leading. Because when you're leading, you're leading. Did you leave those dirty shoes out in the hallway? Leading question. Where were you at 9 o'clock on Tuesday night?
Well, no, this was the leading question. It's like, okay, while we're out there focusing on the sales problem and building up the sales, is there anything we might need to do back at the home office? Is that type of leading question? Is that... If they
brought up home office, then yeah, that would be a process question.
Okay, and then Beryl said her idea was to look at this list of
the criteria for working on a problem.
Yeah. And is that what you said? What did you say you wanted to do? And I said, is that leading her into that? You wanted to have her look at those resources.
Oh, we finished there. We finished. We found the problem. I just didn't.
While you were in the bathroom.
They solved your problem while you were in the
intelligence list.
Intelligence list. You wanted to suggest to her to look at that.
She said there were problems with the management. She couldn't find out what there was a problem. I know there's a problem with it. Is there anything on that list that might be missing?
Yeah, that would be leading. Because now we've stepped out of consulting and we've stepped out of coaching. We stepped out of the process work.
See what he's saying? That was my question. That what you were doing and what I want to do is out of this process.
The process. We're not dealing with process. We're doing content now. Here's some content. Here's business intelligence. Here's content. Let's now apply that to that, and now you're dealing with content.
But tell him what your response to that was. Is that she's got people that come to her and say, look, I don't want somebody asking me questions, right? Say that again, how you said that.
Oh, that was in another context.
Well, go ahead with it.
Yeah. Like, all I've had with everybody else is people that ask questions. Yeah, I want some solutions now.
So if they want it, and if they're asking
so then
for
I
it,
ask them to ask. You know,
yeah, you can do
you
that.
had solutions. What might you be looking for? And then I give them back what they are looking for.
Yeah. My hallucination would be that who's ever worked with them have asked such low-level questions, and it's not been profound questions, and questions that get to the heart of things, and they're sick and tired of questions. And the questions might have been rhetorical, they might have been leading, they're just low-level questions, and so it does lower the value of the kind of questions that bring for transformation from within.
So what I hear is they want to be listened to somehow. So that's what I thought, you had that, what would they be? And then got them.
Yeah.
So even if they ask you to give that to them, if you really want to keep yourself in a pure form of coaching, then you almost need to say no if you want to stay in that frame. Otherwise,
if you want to stay in there, and it's always a value judgment for yourself. Is it because now we're asking the question: do they have the knowledge base to come to this themselves, or do they need some instruction, some information? And then we move into a different kind of modality of help, and we can dance with that. So the other night, everybody wasn't here, but I drew a circle of coaching, and then the modalities and the dance in between, and just being clear as to where you are and the way you're relating at any given point seems to manage that process. What we're doing here is inviting someone to become aware of their own matrix, because my belief is problems are frames. That if nothing means anything out there, then nothing is a problem.